Hey, it's Kisha here with Defending the Early Years podcast. We'll be focusing on amplifying the voices of early childhood educators, advocates, and all of those who love children.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Defending the Early Years podcast. Kisha Reed here, and I have a lovely guest today, Renata Bowers. Renata, hello.
Hello, Kisha. Thanks for having me on.
Oh my goodness, Renata. So I want to tell everyone a little bit about you and how I came upon your work. Renata is a author of a wonderful series of books called Frida B. There is one of those books is called Frida B herself. And I think that's the first one I saw, but I was really pulled in by some of your smaller book series that are kind of like gift books for parents. Let Them Be
Mm-hmm.
Little was one that I was like, I love this. And then Be the Champion of Their Childhood. I said it again, I love this. And I could see
Mm,
both of these books being wonderful gifts for both parents and early educators. Just kind of these little reminders of how we can support wonderful childhoods. But then I dug deeper and I realized that you are into all kinds of things. You have that wonderful series, Frida Be Herself, which I'm going to let you tell us a lot more about. You're doing some work with children in the K through 5 schools. You have this amazing story barn. You write a wonderful blog called A Whole Child. And honestly, your message and what your passion is so in line with the work that I and many other
mm.
early educators do. So I want to welcome you here and I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how this amazing passion has grown and developed in the way that it has.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for the like-mindedness. I am
Mhm.
always so encouraged and uplifted by finding other people who have this vision of the significance of childhood and how precious it is. And our culture doesn't tend to value it. I'm not saying that emotionally, I'm saying that statistically. Our
Yes.
culture doesn't value childhood to the extent that it needs to be valued. And so I think that there's a growing realization of that, a growing awareness of this concept of a child really needing the opportunity to grow into herself or himself, to really cultivate and understand the giftings, the interests, the pulls that are natural with them, and to be given that time to learn and grow into that. And so, yeah, the work that I do is all in that line. It started, oh gosh, quite a while back. I started writing some books, manuscripts about this girl whose name is Frida B, Frieda, capital B, period. A friend gave me the idea, so I can't even take credit for the title itself. But it's a series of books about a girl who believes she is free to be what she dreams. And so she models this for boys and girls. She models what childhood ideally I believe should look like, this idea of diving in and exploring what's true about you while honoring what's true about others and not getting them confused. I'm not supposed to be someone else, and they're not supposed to be me. So a lot of the work that I do in schools when I'm working with children is making sure that they understand there is no competition. There's no competition. You are free to be your own one-of-a-kind, never-before told, amazing and very important story, and everyone else is too. So that's exploring autonomy, which is my number one goal, is I matter. If a child doesn't believe she matters, how will she engage in learning or social activity? She won't. Mattering is the most essential element within us. We need to matter in order to participate. So mattering is number one. And then second is I belong, a community. That I'm worthy of being part of a good community. And So these books help example both autonomy, there's something in the world only I can do, community, I'm loved and accepted for who I am because I have unique things to give, and I'm also worthy of receiving from others. And when we do that, we build a better world. The third pillar, there are three pillars. The third pillar is resilience. So every good story, and I say good because I'm qualifying, not every story, every good story should teach us those three things. I matter, I belong, I can. We watch it exemplified throughout the storyline. And when we learn as parents and educators to talk through a good story, to connect the story to the child so that she understands I matter, I belong, and I can do hard things. That's the work
Wow.
that I do in all its forms.
And let me just say, you mentioned how societally children aren't held up. And I can say, even in the industry of people who work with young children, sometimes I feel like an alien. I feel like I don't, like I don't fit in because I am talking the same language you're talking. I'm talking about autonomy. I'm talking about belonging. I'm talking about resilience and having an I can attitude. But then there is this hardcore, really strong group of individuals who are really working to shift that pendulum and really working to uplift and highlight the amazingness that is childhood. And to find a set of books, and even bigger than that, like a person who is in line with that, doing this type of work that we can like tangibly touch and feel and like connect with, is so valuable. I want to thank you so much for putting that passion and that knowing into something that can be held and used again and again with children and families.
Thank you. Yeah, I thank you for that. You had mentioned the books for parents. That grew out of it. It is meant to be a trilogy. So you named the first two. I actually am hoping in the next week to finish the manuscript for the third one. That was always intended to be a trilogy for me. As a parent, I feel like I learned a lot of this. It's easy for me to tell myself I learned it too late. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I know what you're talking
gosh,
about.
I wish I would have known what I know now when my kids were, babies. But I have learned a lot, and a lot of it is what is summed up in those titles. And I want every new parent, every early education teacher, everyone who comes into contact with children to find kind of a deep breath in those very short little poem books. Let Them Be Little is what I wish someone had taken me aside and told me. You don't need to do all the things. Your child won't be good at everything.
Yes.
You're lullabying your child and giving him, free boredom time is what's going to open up his story wide. So this idea of let them be little, and at the same time, I have to qualify this. It also does not mean put your child on a pedestal. That's where our culture tends to swing the other direction, right? Your child is a child like every other child, and every other child is precious and unique, but none is more unique or wonderful or cherishable than another. So we love and cherish our own children, but we also love and cherish all the children of our friends and acquaintances equally, so that our children don't grow up feeling they're in competition for love. That's a really big thing. So we let them be little. They don't care. They don't care about competition at that age unless we teach them to care about it. So let them be little, is very much about just letting them explore. Be the champion of their childhood is more about, as my role as the parent, how am I their champion? What am I standing against? What am I protecting them from? What is my cape and why do I wear it? What do they need from me in order to kind of keep that bubble of childhood intact? So the first one is really focusing on what they need. The second one is really focusing on what I can do And then the third one that I'm finishing now is called I Will Be the Strength of Your Story, which is a tale of much more the words that I would speak to a child at any age, and I'm talking even into adulthood. You have a unique story, and I'm here to help you find it. You are not alone in figuring this out. I just think those are narratives that need to be told in order for our kids to settle into becoming their authentic selves. You can swing from apathy and dissociation and isolation and, I don't matter. You can swing from that all the way to, wow, I need to be the best at this in order to be loved. So that little trilogy is meant to really kind of provide a very comforting, sweet, encouraging voice to the middle ground.
I feel like those 3 books could be a wonderful parent teacher. I can't even think of what you would call it. Parent teacher, parent night, parent meeting. Do 3 a year, unless you write another one. There could be 4 a year, and have everyone reading these ahead of time, coming together and really breaking it down and discussing it and talking about how it looks and how we can put these things into practice, what we read from it. I can see it being a great springboard for some wonderful parent teacher or parent to parent conversations. So I just wanted to shine a light on those. I love that you are kind of hitting this from different perspectives. You're like going directly to the children with the Free to Be books, going into the schools and going right to the parents so that we have this wraparound. And then there's this other bit of work that you're doing. I don't know where you find the time, but this other bit of work that you're doing with your blog, A Whole Child. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, A Whole Child is really my desire to speak into, if the books speak into the lives of children, I have such a heart for speaking into the life of parents and educators who want to give their child that platform of autonomy and community and resilience. And so the Whole Child blog is just encouragement or techniques, or it's very, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and chat this through, just different topics that would appeal towards ways of awakening the whole child within every child. And when I say the whole child, I find it fascinating. When I was a child, I would say I was not overly academically gifted. I wouldn't say intelligence was my forte. I would say social, emotional were very high for me. And I started studying this more, and I realized that there are actually 5 different areas where every single human being is wired. And those are intelligence, like what I just referred to as academic, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. So if we take all 5 of those, and you could use me as an example. As a child, I was high social, emotional. I was low, not low, but not as high intelligence. That's how I showed up, right? There are reasons I showed up that way. I didn't have confidence academically. I went to very challenging schools and never felt like I measured up. So what's interesting to me is if you take any child, even yourself, and you say, okay, if I had to give every one of these a percentage in such a way that it added up to 100, where would I fall with intelligence, with social, with emotional, with physical, and with spiritual? What would my combination be? And that's the whole child. The whole child, every single person is 100%. That needs to be the lens. Every single child is 100%. But how cool is it that everybody brings different percentages within those 5 different areas? Because if we were all the same, that's not the best approach.
Yeah, that's not.
We look for strengths in each other.
And that's why standardization doesn't work in our school system. That's why some children struggle and are seen as behind, or the expectation is that they excel in every category, and it's not reality.
Mhm.
It's not healthy.
No.
It's not seeing the whole child. And I really love the way that you broke that down, because that really puts a visual and a clear picture of what is meant by whole child, a whole individual
Right.
child. We're not
The
fitting
whole
all of the
individual
children in
child.
we're not fitting all the children into the same box. I love that. And I
No.
love too that you take all of this and you've created a story barn where it all can take place. So now I want to know
Right.
about the story barn. This is just
Oh,
amazing work for your
yeah.
community. Where is the story barn located?
It's located in north central Connecticut in a little farm town, horse town called Somers, Somers. Somers, Connecticut. It's somewhere between Hartford, Connecticut, and Springfield, Mass. Kind of halfway between.
And is
Yeah,
that where you live?
it's not where I live. That's where our business is. So Free
Okay.
to Be is actually a family-owned company. So we are a micro publisher. So we completely have full autonomy over this book series and all the work that comes out of it, which I was under contract with a publisher a long time ago, and it ended up transitioning into my ownership. And that has been a tremendous blessing because it allows us full autonomy in the way that we share the books and the messaging, and in all the different iterations of that. So the Story Barn is the home of Free to Be LLC, which is this company, a family-owned company that does the books and everything related to them. So it's really where we do our work, but it's also, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I never could have dreamed this would come together. It's a little horse barn that's been converted, and it's on 7 acres of land that contains a pond, a brook, lots and lots and lots of room to run, to play, to explore, to be out in the woods, to walk on the trails. So what that tiny little property does for children, we do field trips for schools. We do family events in the summer for children. We do process art. We do outdoor story times. We do games. We do scavenger hunts. We also do retreats for adults. We do corporate
Mm.
trainings for adults on the concept of story and how every organization has a story, has a narrative. Well, what's your place in it? Well, what's her place in it? Well, do you see how if the two of you are at odds, then you're not participating in the full narrative. So it's giving ownership to every piece of the puzzle so that the puzzle can come together well. And that can work for second graders and it can work for, 60-year-olds. So there's just this magic that is able to happen on that property that I can't quite explain, other than I and my business partner just absolutely love to love people into their worth. And so that is what kind of opens up all of these events and activities at the barn that is able to really help people feel seen, heard, and loved.
Uh, I feel seen, heard, and loved listening to that.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Would love to have people come visit. Thank you.
I
The other thing I don't know that and I'm only just going to say this because of who might be listening. We also do have a toolkit, which is English Language Arts Social Emotional Learning. It's a toolkit of resources that accompanies all the Free to Be hardcover books. That within lesson plans, emotional vocabulary, has hands-on activities, principles. But the whole idea is here, homeschool mom, or here, grandma, or here, elementary teacher, or here, Montessori teacher, whatever the case may be. Open up one of these books and here's a lesson plan to go with it. And here's a principle to go with it. And here's a hands-on activity so the kids can try the story on themselves and start to internalize its message. So that's also, we worked 2 years on that and worked alongside educators get it blessed, but it's a pre-K 5 toolkit, just to
And
help those stories come alive.
where can folks find that toolkit?
Folks can find everything most easily on our company website, which is quite simply freetobe.com. So F as in Frank, RIEDAB.com. And they can navigate off the homepage to our store, to the toolkit, to work with schools. I mean, the barn, all of it is kind of housed on that one page. Yeah.
Wonderful. And can you tell us what's next, where you're going to be either digging in deeper or spreading your wings to?
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. I have such an impatience toward getting this third book done in the trilogy, because you know how it is when you're finishing something up, but your eyes are really on the next thing.
Yep.
I remember how excited I was about writing the third book, and so but now my eyes on the next thing. So it's always that discipline piece that gets a little sticky. But yes, quite clearly, I am moving more into continuing to use all the materials I've developed, which is such a blessing. It's not like creating something completely new. It's always building onto. I mentioned that I can piece, the resilience piece, which is the third of the 3 foundations. The I can piece finds its really deep, powerful roots in something called the hero's journey narrative diagram. And basically it's a writer's tool that was developed in 1956 by a man named Joseph Campbell, who set out to determine if some of the earliest stories ever written by man had any commonalities in the telling. And he went out and found some of the earliest document stories that they were taking place on different continents and there was no sharing. He lined them all up side by side, and he found out not only do they have similarities, human beings tell the hero story exactly the same way. And so you start breaking it down. And this is actually the method that Steven Spielberg uses. Like all the great modern writers and directors of our day use this narrative. But I started looking at it as a diagram and thinking, whoa, this is so informative as to how we find our worth, how we identify our worth, and how we push ourselves through what can be constituted as our darkest, most challenging times, and why we do it. And the truth of the matter is, resilience is what enables us to push through the darkest challenges. The reason being because, as depicted on his diagram, the pit is at 6 o'clock. If you look at the way story is told, it'd be a clock. The pit on his diagram happens halfway around. Now, you might be talking with someone who on any given day says the pit is 11 o'clock, like it's done, I'm over, I'm through, it's done. No, it always happens at 6 o'clock, which means only half the story is told when you hit the pit. When you emerge from the pit, which everybody does who has a helper and who chooses to do this. The reason I want to do this is for all the people who either doubt they can get through the pit or believe they can't. The hero in the story emerges from the pit, from the thing that should have swallowed him whole, oftentimes referred to as the abyss, emerges not alone, but with his helpers, because we never, ever, ever do resilience alone. We can't. We're always gifted with other people. We emerge out of the pit, and what ends up happening is we get revelation. That is on the diagram. That is how story is told. The hero emerges from the pit and is blessed with revelation, a knowing that says, oh, I just know something about myself or the world around me that I didn't know before. And the only reason I know that is because I just conquered this pit. And so for me, the next thing of work that I really want to focus on is telling people, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Not only can you, you need to get through the pit, because there's a revelation on the other side that's unique to you that the world needs. You can't stop before the pit. You can't give up. You have to push through. That's what story teaches us. And when I start to do this in classrooms with kids, my number one question is we look at past problems. I have them review stories, then we move into their own stories. And we talk about problems that they've been through. And I always make them identify at least one good thing that came out of that problem. It's reshaping the way we view challenge and hardship. We're going to go through it because we know there'll be something good on the other side. So that's my next big push, is to work in that arena.
That sounds like a worthy push. This morning, I interviewed she's a psychologist, Dr. Alison Bamba, and a lot of what we're talking about right now is completely in line with the work that she does. So it's beautiful to see these three different positions of people who are working within the same parameters for the greater good of, I think it's for the greater good of humanity, in childhood specifically.
Amen.
But
I'm with you. Yes.
For the greater good of humanity.
Because if you think about it, that's the whole thing with the trilogy, and that's the whole thing with the toolkit, and now it will be with the hero work too. It's, if we can, as adults, if we can take in tools that speak to our own story differently and repattern our thinking, how much easier is it for us to authentically then speak into the story of those younger than us.
And imagine the beauty that will come of that work. It's so worth it and so valuable. Wow.
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you
right there with
so
you.
much for this work.
Thank
I knew
you.
I was just drawn. You see books all the time. And there was something about, I think the first book that I saw was Let Them Be Little. And you can see a preview of the pages when you go to, I don't know if I was on Amazon, or I don't know where I saw it, but wherever I saw it, I could see a preview.
Yeah, if you go to freetobe.com, there are preview pages for all of the books. Yeah.
Yes. And just reading a few of those, I was like, whoa, like that spoke to me. So I want to thank you so much for really going deep with this, because it is unfortunately a different way of parenting, a different way of thinking, a different way of seeing children and the role of the adult. So I want to amplify that, because it is so necessary. I want to amplify that because it is so necessary right now to have these tools at hand. And thank you for your work. Can you tell us one more time how people can get in contact with you?
Yeah, the easiest way is I can give you that one URL, because from there you can get to the store, you can go to our Facebook page, you can contact us by email, by phone. So again, that one URL is freetobe.com, which is F as in Frank, RIE, D as in dog, A, B as in boy.com, freetobe.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and telling us your story, and giving everybody such great access to so many wonderful tools and work. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for creating this platform and for your passion, because you help connect like-minded people. It's just an honor and a pleasure for me to be here with you today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank everyone else for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
And that was another episode of the Defending the Early Years podcast. Defending the Early Years works to support the rights and needs of young children nationally. Learn more at DEY.org. Pay us a visit, sign up for our newsletter, or connect with us on social media. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.